Eamonn Holmes hits out at horrible celebrities on TV and admits there are so many false stars. Eamonn has previously addressed a feud with a former co-star. Eamonn Holmes has hit out at horrible celebrities and admitted there are so many false stars. The GB News presenter, 65, hosts podcast Things We Like with Eamonn and Paul, alongside Paul Coyte. While speaking to guest Ray Winstone, Eamonn opened up on inner workings in the industry. He said, "If I don't like someone, they'll know I don't like them. And there's so many horrible people that you end up, people say, he's lovely, he's fantastic. They'll say to me, what's that Ray Winstone like? And I'll say, he is lovely, he is fantastic. People won't believe me because I wouldn't say if you weren't. There are so many who are just false, false, false." Eamonn once had a long-standing feud with former This Morning co-star Philip Schofield. Phil hosted the show alongside Holly Willoughby, while Eamonn fronted Friday and half-term editions with then-wife Ruth Langsford. Tensions boiled over in 2019 when Schof cut off Ruth while she was in the middle of a live link, teasing what was coming up on Loose Women. The incident ultimately led to Ruth making a complaint over his behavior to ITV. Previously speaking about it, Eamonn said, "Philip is renowned for snubbing people. He's very passive-aggressive. It's up to Ruth to say how she felt, but I was feeling hurt for her. No one would have snubbed me like that. I have a good Belfast street fighter in me, I would be direct. I don't go for presenters who think they have a special privilege or aura or influence." Earlier this year, Eamonn posed with Anthea Turner after ending their bitter 10-year feud. Former GMTV hosts, Eamonn, 65, and Anthea, 64, seemed all smiles in the Instagram post. The Northern Irishman affectionately placed a hand over Anthea's shoulder. Eamonn captioned the snap, "We're the same age at Anthea Turner and I and have had careers of similar length, but my paper round must have been harder than hers. Top girl." This reunion came more than 2 decades after their infamous fallout. GB News now ranked UK's 4th biggest news media brand. The People's Channel ranked higher than Channel 4 in the major report. GB News' unstoppable growth has been recognized in a prestigious new report. The Reuters Institute Digital News Report 2025 is the most comprehensive study of news consumption worldwide, providing deep insight into the trends shaping newsroom strategy, audience behavior and tech disruption across the global media. The report, now in its 15th year, is based on YouGov data from almost 100,000 respondents across 48 markets. And this year's report concluded that, based on weekly reach, GB News has soared to become the UK's 4th biggest news media outlet in data on TV, radio and print. Reuters ranked GB News above Channel 4 News, Channel 5 News and CNN, with our position up from 8th position a year ago. Online, gbnews.com is ranked the 6th largest news platform in the UK, tied with telegraph.co.uk. The report placed our website above Sun Online, The Times Online, ITV News Online, Mirror Online, Yahoo News, and CNN Online. The Reuters report also investigated the level of trust that the public has in UK news outlets, and concluded the People's Channel was a more trusted source than both the Daily Mail and Daily Mirror newspapers. Commenting on the report, Mick Booker, GB News editorial director, said, "This report is a must-read for anyone interested in how the consumption of news is changing across the globe. To see GB News and gbnews.com recording such positive growth is a reflection of the tireless efforts of our award-winning team to provide the very best journalism. As Reuters' report lays bare, our unstoppable growth is continuing, and soaring numbers of people are turning to the People's Channel because they value the fearless journalism our team relentlessly provides." The Reuters Institute Digital News Report 2025, based on YouGov data from almost 100,000 respondents across 48 markets, reveals a global shift in news consumption habits. It found social and video platforms have overtaken traditional media. For the first time, social media is the main news source in major markets like the US and Australia, with platforms such as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp, and X now reaching over 10% of weekly users each. It also concluded that news consumption is becoming deeply fragmented, driven by a rise in influencer-led content. Creators like Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, and others have captured significant audiences, particularly among younger demographics, while traditional news brands struggle to engage this cohort. Trust in news remains low but stable at around 40%, reflecting a substantial decline from earlier highs, 60%, and considerable national variation. Finland holds the highest trust at nearly 69%. News avoidance has risen sharply, Globally, about 39% of people now often or sometimes avoid the news, with UK avoidance nearing 46%. Video is capturing growing attention. 2/3 of respondents view short news clips weekly, and around half engage with longer formats, mostly on platforms rather than publishers' own sites. AI is entering the news ecosystem, with 15% of under 25s using chatbots like ChatGPT or Gemini weekly for news, though public trust in AI's role in hard news remains cautious. Subscription growth is slowing, with roughly 17% of users in advanced markets paying for online news. Most non-payers are unwilling to pay full price. Publishers are responding by diversifying revenue, embracing bundles, AI partnerships, events, and even philanthropic funding. The 2025 report underscores deep industry transformation, social and video dominance, the rise of influencer-driven news, persistent trust and misinformation challenges, increasing avoidance, the cautious integration of AI, and evolving business models, all amid demographic shifts in how people consume information. Eamonn Holmes slams horrible former TV co-stars in furious rant. The former This Morning presenter has hit out at his former showbiz colleagues in a furious rant, branding them false and horrible in a heated debate. GB News host Eamonn Holmes didn't hold back as he tore into his previous television cohorts, labeling them false amid a charged discussion. Joined by his co-host Paul Coyte and actor Ray Winstone for the latest installment of the Things We Like podcast, Holmes didn't shy away from expressing his antipathy during their talk. Ray shared his experiences living in Los Angeles, explaining how the relentless nature of Hollywood's glamour drove him back to the UK. The conversation took a turn when Ray reflected, "I couldn't live in LA, it's constant. Even the guy who puts petrol in your car works in the industry. It's like every 2 minutes, it's all they want to talk about. We talk about birds and football and boxing, they talk about movies. Hollywood and Los Angeles are wonderful places when you're doing all right, but not when you're not." Holmes then weighed in with his own grievances concerning superficial connections in showbiz, imitating comments typically made behind the scenes. "I don't like this character, I don't like so-and-so, I like that person, I didn't get on with them." He continued, concurring with Ray's sentiments, "That's what the business is based on. I mean, I'm like you, Ray. I get myself into trouble because if I don't like someone, they'll know I don't like them. And there are so many horrible people that you end up with. People say, oh, he's lovely, he's fantastic," reports The Express. He shared his forthright views on the pretense often found among actors and celebrities, commenting, "If they say to me, 'What's that Ray Winstone like?' I'll say he is lovely, and he is fantastic, and people will believe me because I wouldn't say it if you weren't, but so many are just false, false, false." While the trio concurred on the topic of insincerity in showbiz, they stopped short of naming anyone in particular. Eamonn Holmes parted ways with This Morning for GB News in 2021 after a 15-year tenure on the iconic blue sofa, presenting the ITV program with his then-wife Ruth Langsford. A source relayed to the Mirror that Eamonn's move from the show was timely for both him and ITV, saying, "All good things come to an end.